Hi everyone, I wish you an early good Shabbos and I hope everyone is doing well. I miss seeing all of you, but thank God we are well and God willing, Lian Hara, everyone should stay well. The end of our quarantine is in sight, so hopefully I'll be seeing at least some of you pretty soon, God willing. We have been in the house together as a family now, all of us, for over 2 weeks. And believe it or not, as perfect and angelic as my children are, sometimes even they can get in the occasional fight every day, many times. Can you believe such a thing? And this is how it usually goes. Any of you with kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, you have seen this scene plenty of times. You walk into a room and you catch someone in the act. Maybe they're grabbing something, hitting, pulling, pinching, whatever it might be. And when you call them out on it, they respond, say it with me, he started it. And they try and shift the blame to someone else. And that has always put me in a dilemma as a parent. Firstly, it's hard to know if that's even true or they're just saying it. But let's even assume for the moment that it's true, that this kid that you caught hitting another kid was really only hitting back his sibling who started it. Even if that is true, well, this is how I think about it. On one hand, just because your brother started it doesn't really give you permission to hit back. We don't believe in taking revenge, and that's not necessarily okay. On the other hand, isn't a person entitled to defend himself, to fight back a little bit? If I'm attacked, can't I stand up for myself? Maybe this hitting, maybe this grabbing was, in fact, justified. And the truth is that there is truth to both sides. And it really depends on the case and the kid and the situation. And of course, it is complicated. But I'm using this as an example to highlight a certain point. Because the same dilemma itself is sometimes true on a larger scale. For instance, between adults. Or potentially on a much larger scale between countries or nations. Listen, every person and every nation is entitled to defend itself. And yet there is a fine line between self-defense versus violent behavior that is blamed simply on they started it. Now, of course, I'm not here in these 5 minutes to solve global issues of war and peace or to comment on Israel, for example's responsibility to defend herself. But the Nitziv, the great Rav Naftali Tzvi, Yehuda Berlin, gleans a very important lesson from this week's parsha, from Yaakov's struggle with the angel in Parshas Vayishlach, that I think is relevant to this dilemma. The parsha says in Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Chaf Hey, Vayivaser Yaakov levado Vayeavek ish imo ad alos hashachar. And Yaakov was left alone, and a man struggled and fought with him all the way through the night until the morning. The very next pasuk, Pasuk Chaf Vav, says, Vayar ki lo yachol lo, and he saw, the angel saw that he wasn't able to overcome him. Vayiga bechaf yerecho, and therefore he hit him. He smote him on the thigh of his leg. Vateka kaf yerech Yaakov beheavko imo, and Yaakov's gid hanasha, the part of the nerve in Yaakov's thigh in his leg was injured, beheavko imo, during this struggle with him, with this angel. And then Nitziv is bothered by the repetition of the word or the root word avak, which means to fight or to struggle. At the very beginning of the pasuk, it says in the first pasuk, it says Vayeavek ish imo, that the man struggled with him. And in the very next pasuk, it reminds us that this injury happened beheavko imo, during his struggle with him. I mean, obviously, it's the very next pasuk. The first pasuk says that they were fighting, and the second pasuk says Yaakov got hurt. Why does it need to repeat that he got hurt during their fight? That's what's happening. The Chumash doesn't add a couple of words that are obvious, that were stated in the very previous pasuk. Why, then Nitziv asks, does this section mention twice their struggle? The truth is, Chazal already discussed this a bit in Maseches Chullin, Daf Tzadi Zayin Amud Aleph 97a. The rabbis have a couple different interpretations of what exactly is going on here, but I want to share with you the words of the great Nitziv. I have it on the screen here in front of me. The Nitziv says, Behayavek Yaakov imo, sha'ad ko ne'evak hamalach es Yaakov. Until now, until a certain point, the angel had been the one who was the aggressor. He was the one on the attack. He is the one who began this fight and this struggle with Yaakov. But after a little bit of a back and forth, after their battle, Viata, and now, Ratzah limshoch es yado mimenu, the angel wanted to pull his hand back. He was done. He said, truce, let's each go in our directions. The fight is over. V'chazar Yaakov v'ne'evak es hamalach. Mind-blowing, the Nitziv says. And Yaakov went back and pursued the continuation of the fight with the angel. Umishum hachi, and because of this, ne'anash v'takayach kaf yirecho. Because of this, Yaakov was punished, and his thigh was injured. Yes, the angel started it. That's for sure. That's what it means when it says Vayavek ish imo, that he, the angel, fought with Yaakov. And if Yaakov could speak and defend himself here today, that's probably what he would say. He started it. And Yaakov was right to defend himself and fight back. You don't have to let someone beat you up or kill you. But then it ended, and the angel was leaving. And Yaakov, who understandably was still upset about being attacked, pursued him and continued the fight. And for that, on his own level, the righteous Yaakov was punished. Then Nitziv even adds a bit later on Pasuk Lamed Gimel, as he continues this theory, this understanding of the story, Uba lilamdenu, this comes to teach us, the Nitziv writes, Eich lehitnaheg im mitkomemav, how one should behave with those who stand up against him, how one should behave regarding their enemies. Shelo lihitacher imahem, that one shouldn't feel a continued competition with them, bioter, excessively, ukasher yasur apachad, and once the fear is removed, in other words, if you're in fear for your life or for your safety, you're being attacked, then of course, do what you have to do, stand up for yourself and protect yourself. But once that fear is removed, ra'ui lehaniach et harodef leilech ledarko, it's appropriate to leave the one who just moments before was pursuing you and let him continue on his way. Don't continue to pursue him. Don't continue to fight beyond what he began. And this is a lesson for all of us in our personal lives and for Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish people as a whole. Of course, a person, a people, a nation is entitled and responsible, obligated perhaps, to defend itself and not to be walked all over or harmed. We have to, like Yaakov and his family at the beginning of the Parsha, be prepared for battle, just in case that becomes necessary. But we must never forget that our ultimate goal is peace, is shalom. And just because he started it doesn't mean I must continue it. And according to the Nitziv, even Yaakov Avinu struggled with this, and in our Parsha made a bad decision that cost him the health of his gid, hanasha, of his thigh. It takes a big person, it takes a great person, with humility, with self-control, with discipline, to be able to say, in the appropriate circumstances, he started it. But that doesn't mean I have to continue it. I choose peace. Shabbat shalom.